Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. It is the Daily Dish, and you're here, and so am I, and that's fabulous. Jocelyn, hello. I'm so glad to see you. It's going to be a great day in the neighborhood. Alice, hello. Happy Thursday. Wanda, it's been a minute. Deborah, Jeanette, good to have you all here. It's a good day. It's a very, very good day. So I was out playing pickleball this morning with my partner and with Mark, because Mark is my partner when we play mixed doubles, and my partner, Michelle, was there. We met with her and her husband. We're all playing together. We're all going to Charleston this weekend. So start sending all the good juju and what have you, because we want to come home with some hardware, folks. There's our girl, Sandy. I'm glad you're here, Sandy. Anyway, so that was exciting and very fun, and got that all done. Catherine's in the house, y'all. And so is my girl, Beverly. Really good to have you all here. I have to remind you that we have a big spring fling sale going on. Our sales, when we have a sale, we have a good sale, don't we? This sale I love because we have discounted absolutely 100% everything in the shop. And when I say that, I am just saying that we've made some good purchases and we're passing the savings on to you. Of course, we do not sell discounted goods. We sell excellent premium goods only. You know that if you've bought from us, and we always, by the way, appreciate it. And remember, when you make a choice to purchase your supplements from us, you are purchasing them from a small woman-owned business, and we greatly appreciate it. So thank you for that. We've had a lot of people buying stuff. The other thing is we had a huge run on kits, which put us in jeopardy with very little fiber. So here's the deal. Remember when I said there's not going to be any rain checks? We're going to rain check you, because this is not fair. I mean, it's only Thursday. We got the weekend to go through. So we had a lot of people buying big bulk purchases. I get it. I understand. So I want to be honoring of our sale. There's the top of my head for those of you who think I was decapitated somehow. I have not been. It's still there. So for those of you who have done that, I made that decision just moments ago. My team now knows, but I will make sure that everybody understands and knows, because it's just not fair. It's just went really, really, really fast. Our first 2 days were almost unprecedented. So that's the case, then let's just keep going, right? Let's get you what you need, and we will honor those prices for you. I'm just letting you know. All right. Secondarily, boy, do we have a great quote of the week. We've been talking about change this week. Well, last week we talked about going pro. And when you go pro, everything changes, because it's no longer acceptable to be an amateur and quit on yourself and do all of that. We have to step up if we're going to go pro. But going pro means something's got to give, something's got to change. And change sometimes can be difficult. And we've been talking about that all this week. And what are the mechanics and the mechanisms of change? How do we harness the energy to put toward the change? Because honestly, and you know this, change can be a little bit unsettling. It's unknown, it's risky. At least that's what our amygdalas think. And the other thing is it puts us in this place of thinking that we don't quite have the stuff for it. It's too hard. It can be too fill in the blank. You can fill in the blank on your own. Everybody has their own qualms about change. In our minds, we say, yeah, change. We're going to do this, do this, do this. When it comes to execution, that's where the difficulty lies. So going from here into actual doing is the deal. So I'm going to talk about the paradox of change today, because that is something that we need to be talking about. Meanwhile, though, the indecision to fail, the indecision is the decision to fail, rather. That is our quote of the week. And boy, if that isn't the truth, when we don't make a decision, we still make a decision, and we make a decision to fail. That's what that is. So we can't wiggle out of it. We're called to step up and to do the good work. Hi, Linda. Nice to have you here. And Anne and Jackie all in the house. And if I've missed anyone, you know that wasn't intentional. It wasn't on purpose. So today we're going to talk about the paradox of change, because one of the things that we want to do is we want to be able to understand what it is that we can do to make this change a little bit more attainable and less freaked out about it, because we do. We freak out about it. Carl Rogers said, "The curious paradox about change is that when I accept myself as I am, then I can change." And I've shared with you my stories of different times in my life where I finally did get to the place of accepting change. So you don't need to hear my story over and over again. But that to me was an epiphany. And it was before I even knew this quote, But it's true. This is how our brains operate. When we accept something, then we're able to finally get to first base. And the reason is, it's just like setting a GPS. I said this earlier. When you set a GPS, when you know where you want to go, you have to know where you're starting from. And the starting from point is what's going to determine what your course is to get to that place, to that destination that you want. And it's the same thing with acceptance. When you accept who you are and what you are about right now, today, in all your flawed glory, that's when you can finally say, you know what? Now that I love myself, that I accept myself, I can accept myself enough so that I can make these changes that I want to make in my life. It's like having a starting place. It makes all the difference in the world. You can take that one to the bank, I promise you. So I'm wondering, when I think about this, how do we get to this place then of accepting ourselves 100% completely so that we can finally start making some of those changes that we want? We don't need to be beating ourselves up all the time, and yet that's where we spend a good lion's share of our day a lot of times. So let's talk about that. I've got 10 things for you. And the first one is to accept the whole shoot and match, the whole picture, the whole blemished, unvarnished truth of who and what you're about, because we don't need the filtered version. There's enough filtering going on. I've thrown some filters on it's weird because in TikTok, I've used some filters, and the more I use filters, the more people glom onto my videos. So scary. Isn't that scary? But that's the way it is. Social media is a big fuzzy blur of truth or untruth. It does, it's just kind of all mixed in together. You don't know what's what anymore. And that totally on purpose. But we don't need to be the filtered version. We need to be accepting of the unfiltered version of ourselves. Because, when we're trying to create this illusion of perfection, then we're duping ourselves, and we are not in the place of acceptance. So when we do that for ourselves, or for anyone else for that matter, we give ourselves a gift. And that's the gift of starting. That's the gift of acceptance. That's the gift of love. Truly, that's the gift of love. Trisha, hello. Number 2 is forgiveness or radical acceptance. I've spoken about this so much before. But when we forgive ourselves, when we forgive somebody else, it is not so that we can win back a relationship or anything else. It is so that we have the ability to move on. That's the whole thing about forgiveness. That's what forgiveness is all about. Oftentimes, even with forgiveness, even with when you have a one-on-one with somebody and there's that, the perfect scenario, right? When that forgiveness is all put in place, then oftentimes what happens is there still doesn't mean that is a new foundation in which to move the relationship forward. Sometimes it still means quits, but I mean, it's like the perfect scenario, right? But sometimes that doesn't happen. And I will say most times that doesn't happen. You've got this night and day version of what's going on. And so what do you do there? You go to this place of radical acceptance, of accepting that this whole situation isn't going to shift. I've had this with a couple of friendships in the past within my life, and it was painful. And I kept thinking, what can I do to make this better? What can I do to get this back, to have this be the way that in my mind's eye I would love it to be? And it just simply wasn't to be. And when I radically accepted that, then I could move on. And I could love them from afar and just wish them well on their way. That's freedom, y'all. That is freedom. And that is part of the paradox of change right there. Because when we can accept that, then we can move on, we can change, and we can become the woman we are called to be. We don't get stuck in that place. So I hope, this is number 2 is such a big, big, big deal. And it's so hard. It really is hard, but it's just absolutely crucial. You can't pass go without it. Pay your $200, then pass go. That's how that works. Number 3 is that we all dance. We're all dancers in this life, and we're all listening to a different melody, and we're all stepping on toes at some point because we don't do things perfectly. And when we understand that we don't do things perfectly and that we're going to step on toes and sometimes it might hurt, then we're able to go back to number 2 and radically accept where it is that we want, and also accept the full picture, and also have the ability to change as we want to. Because change isn't just done, It's not like the Bewitched. Remember Bewitched, that show? Where she'd wiggle her nose. I don't remember how she did that, but she wiggled her nose. And it's just not that way. That's not how life is. And we all expect maybe sometimes a little bit different. We expect the dance to be smooth and to be easy. But if you've ever taken dance classes, it looks pretty ugly at the very beginning. It's not a good look. As we dance and as we accept, as we go on, it gets easier. Number 4 is personal responsibility. We have to take personal responsibility for ourselves. That's all. Because when we take personal responsibility for ourselves and stop deflecting, stop blame shifting, and stop, figuring out, well, it's the conspiracies in this world and all of that, and we really take on that responsibility for ourselves and what it is, how we react, what it is that we do, then what happens? We see something that needs to be changed. We don't act like hapless victims. It gives us a peace within. That is such you can't put a price tag on that. There is no such thing as putting a price tag on peace. So this piece of being able to radically accept yourself and being able to move on and take personal responsibility, there's nothing like that. It makes all the difference in the world. And the 5th thing is, of course, is having a big old piece of humble pie. When we're humble, it makes the way clearer. When we're puffed up and full of ourselves, it makes it so that we're blind and we can't see. And sometimes it's good to be, and there's a big difference between being braggadocious and just full of yourself, and also saying, yeah, I did a good job here. Because we need to be able to look at our stuff and say, yeah, I did a good job. We need to be able to along with taking personal responsibility, taking credit for the things that we've done right. And I know a lot of people, they just think, oh, that's way too much. There's a balance right there. And it's fine when somebody thinks that they did a good job about something and they've got the goods to prove it. They've got the receipts, Nothing wrong with saying, you know what? I'm pretty proud of that. You should be. You should be. Okay, there's a big balance there. I hope that makes sense. And number 6 is to remember who you are and whose you are. You know, God doesn't make crap. He makes people on purpose and for purpose. And the fact that you are here right now, today, means something. It means that you have to go about the business of figuring out what your purpose is today. You need to go about the business of doing good work so that you never bury your talents in the backyard. You know, we are all given certain gifts. We're all given certain talents. We're all given things in this life that we're expected to do something with. That's part of our personal responsibility. It's also a distinct privilege to be able to step up and say, yeah, I've been called for such a time as this. This is my mission. This is what I'm about. I am going to do this. This is so important. This is so important because when we feel anchorless, when we feel like we're just drifting and that there's no purpose and what's it all about? Remember, we talked about that song, Let's Keep Dancing, Get Out the Booze and all of that. How sad. Well, if you were created on purpose and for purpose, you've lost your way if you're in despair. Find your way back. Get on your knees and pray. And remember that if it weren't for God, you wouldn't be here. He's chosen you. He's selected you. He chose you for such a time as this. It should give you goosebumps, and it should make you feel like he's got his eye on you, because he does. You are the apple of his eye. Number 7 is doing the best you can right now. Doesn't imply that nothing can change, right? It's a signal is what it is. It is a signal. Now, if you're getting too serious, you're too serious, you're taking yourself too seriously, do something funny. Make it funny. Make it joyful. Take it lightly and have a little levity in your life on some of the serious stuff. We need to take the pressure off, because the pressure is there, y'all. It's enough. If you need reminders, then put them everywhere. Go get yourself, here's mine right here. I got a stack of 3x5 cards, always on the ready. And I'm always using a pencil because I don't like crossing things out. Always on the ready to go at any moment. Sometimes I need a reminder. Sometimes I need a reminder of whose I am and what I'm about. Sometimes I need that reminder. Sometimes I need to remember that I have the power within, that I'm stronger than I think, that I can do it. I just need to stay the course. And sometimes I need a reminder that I need to take the dog for a walk. Our reminders are there for a reason. They help us out. We need that. We're humans. We slip up. Sometimes you need to change the script and stop having this shameful conversation between your ears. You don't need to shame yourself out loud or inside, right? No, ma'am. Shame doesn't do anything except to put people down. I do not believe shame, and telling somebody shame on you, by the way, is ever appropriate. It's wrong. This is not how we love. It's how we put down. And that is not part of the program. And then the last thing too is you need to take charge of it and do it your way. And I will say this for anything, you have to do things your way. I'll give you a really crazy example. One of the things that I did, do with Lincoln is I take him for a big walk. But I used to go all around the lake, and then I stopped when one day I saw a big bobcat. I was not cool about that because I thought, what if that bobcat had been hungry? He was up above where we were. He could have jumped down onto Lincoln's back. And what do you think I would have done? I wouldn't have run away. I would have taken that bobcat on. That would have been a bad thing. And I didn't have anything with me. What am I going to do? Hit him with Lincoln's leash? So instead, because I know that one area where, it's kind of remote, a little bit remoter, and lots of woods and all of that, Instead, what I've done is I've modified it to fit what I need, right? My dog needs a big walk. So I take him down to the berm along the dam, and we throw the ball and play with him there. Then I take him for a big, long U walk and come along back the other way and do it again. He gets his full walk. I've just modified the way it works so that I feel safe, so that it doesn't disrupt what he needs. And also what I need is to feel safe. You see what I mean? Sometimes we're too quick to throw it out and just say, well, I can't take the dog for a walk because of that, because he needs to go the 2 miles. Well, okay, then just do it where you're comfortable doing it. We can always do that. Number 8 is we need to remember that resistance happens always. Always, always, always. We will not do this perfectly, but we can do this excellently. James Clear says, it's in proportion to the size and speed of change, not whether or not it's favorable or unfavorable. In other words, backsliding and going back to what you've always known is inevitable. You just don't need to stay there. I have a rule for myself that I think is just super helpful, and feel free to adopt it, is that if you are going to go off the rails, it is one meal. One meal. Go off the rails for one meal and then start up again the next time. Because we're not ever going to be picture perfect in the way we do anything, ever. That's not what being a human is about. But we can make rules for ourselves that give us safeguards so that we don't fall all the way off. Does that make sense to you? Number 9 is to rely on small wins. Small wins combat number 8, by the way. Small wins are the way to get yourself back, always. Sandy has one. She does little tiny micro workouts. The 4-minute workout is a micro workout. Little tiny workouts here and there show you a win. And every time you do that, you can congratulate yourself because you've just won. It's that simple. You can always have a little bit more water. You can always get up and say a win would be like, don't just sit on your duff after dinner. Go outside and just take a walk around the block. There's a ton of things that you can do in order to create these small wins. And those small wins, remember, alter the chemistry in your body. It's really important. And number 10 is to work with and not against. In other words, when you have a well-established habit, find something that will just easily loop into that and piggyback it. So I've shared this a million times, emptying the dishwasher, coffee's getting made. And then what do? I go ahead and I do a 4-minute workout before I allow myself to have that cup of coffee because you know I want it. And that's just a piggyback habit. When we piggyback our habits, we piggyback the stuff that needs to get done and piggyback the stuff that's been difficult for us to get done, we find a way, don't we? We create the way, actually. And when we do that, we change everything. And the paradox of change is that though it's difficult, though it's risky, though it's something that you've never done, just simply by doing these things, we find ourselves in a place of understanding that, yes, we can change. Simple? Yes. Easy? No. But does it matter? Nope. Because we're always, 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 never, never, ever going to quit on ourselves. We're worth it. You've got grit, not quit, sister. Don't you ever forget that. Alrighty. There we go. That's it for the week, y'all. How do you like that? We are done and dusted. Now, if you've missed any of the announcements, go to savingdinner.com/announcements. And I am going to mention this again. The big spring sale is happening right now. It is going through the weekend. Still go get your orders done. Still go take care of things, take care of business, and we will be honoring to everything. So don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. You got that? I appreciate you all. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.